welcome back. Today I will be making coffee walnut Financiers. And yes, I googled how to say these little almond cakes. I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to say it. Financiers, fiancé, finance, I don't know. But what they are, they're little tiny almond cakes. And so I'll be making them in muffin tins. And of course I haven't made them before, so join me as I figure this out. But first I'm heating up a saucepan and I'm going to melt 8 tablespoons of butter plus a half a tablespoon. So let's get that in the pan now. Okay, so I'll be melting it over medium heat and we'll be browning it for about 5 minutes. As the butter is starting to boil, I did forget to tell you that at the beginning I roasted the halved walnuts for about 10 minutes in the oven at 350, and so they just have a nice golden brown on them and they'll be used later to top each of the cakes. They're just setting off to the side for now. Okay, so it's definitely like dark caramel in color. I am getting a little nervous that I'm going to burn it, so I'm actually going to take it off the heat. I would say it smells nutty and has a caramel color, so I think it is about time. So, taking it off of the heat, and I'm going to set it off to the side. Okay, so now I need to sift the flour and the confectioner sugar. I already know this is going to be really sweet because it is more confectioner sugar than it is flour. But you all know I hate sifting because it takes forever, but I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to use this handheld sifter and just pour the confectioner sugar and flour in. I'm actually going to add the baking powder and salt as well. So in they all go because we'll sift them together. Awesome. Finally done sifting. So now I'm just going to keep this off to the side for a minute and I'm going to start whisking just lightly 6 egg whites, and I'm going to do it in a stand mixer just for ease of time. While the eggs finish whisking, I'm going to add the almond flour into the dry mixture. Okay, so the eggs are lightly frothed, so I think that's fine. And honestly, as I'm prepping the rest of the ingredients, I'm getting really excited because this has espresso in it, instant coffee. I'm getting very, very excited for these little cakes. Okay, so now what I do need to do is strain the butter. I've never done this, so I'm a little nervous. It's not supposed to be too hot, but it was boiling, what, a few minutes ago? So what I'm going to do is, I don't have a cheesecloth or anything like that, so I'm just going to use a strainer, and I'm just going to hope that it strains it a little bit, and if not, I think that'll be okay. Let's try this out. I'm going to do it over the sink, and I'm just going to pour it straight into this. Here's hoping. Okay, it actually got the butter bits out. You definitely won't be able to see them, but it trapped in at least the large pieces. Nice, okay. So, I mean, obviously there's still some in here. You can see how dark this butter looks. I promise it is not burnt. It is more of a caramel color. There's just a lot of those burnt bits in it. Okay. So it says to leave it when it's cool. I mean, I think it's kind of cooled. It's a bit warm. Okay, I'm gonna wait a few minutes. I'm actually gonna stick this in the fridge, and then I'm gonna combine it with the eggs. Okay, so the butter is a bit cooler. Obviously, it is still a little warm, but we're just gonna have to deal with it. So next, I'm going to put in the instant coffee. So it's just about a tablespoon of instant coffee, and then 1/3 of a cup of water. And then we're gonna add it right into the egg mixture. So it says combine the egg and coffee mixture into the dry ingredients and just until they are combined. Okay, it is about just combined. I think you can see it. So now I'm gonna double check my recipe because the past couple of times I keep doing things out of order. So I'm just gonna double check that, yes, add the browned butter and mix until the batter is thick, shiny, and smooth. Okay, I like thick, shiny, and smooth batters. We're gonna do this little by little though. So at first I didn't realize I needed to chop the walnuts. These do need to be chopped. You don't just put the whole ones in. So 2/3 of a cup of walnuts that have been toasted. And then adding in ground espresso. So this is different than the instant coffee we put in. This is a teaspoon and a half. Okay, so now I'm just gonna mix it. So now the next piece on our agenda is to cover it and put it in the fridge for 2 hours. Oh, absolutely hate having to do that, but I am gonna follow the recipe. I wanna make sure these come out the best that they can. So I'm gonna find a different container to put this in, cover it so the plastic wrap is touching the batter so it has a better seal. But I will see you all back in 2 hours after this has a chance to chill. Okay, so it's been about 3 hours. I know I said only 2, but I let it chill for 3. So now what I'm going to do is spoon the batter into a 12-count muffin tin. So what I did was I buttered it and then dusted it with flour and then dumped the excess flour out. I have never buttered ramekins like this before. You can see it's just loosely floured and buttered. I really hope they don't stick. I'm definitely very fearful of that at the end. My oven is preheating at 400. So while it's doing that, I'm going to spoon the batter in 3/4 of the way up. Okay, so some of them are pretty underfilled, but that's all the batter I had. It really only made 12 little cakes, which I'm surprised about. If you're using a mini muffin tin, then it would make twice as much, but for now we're just making full-size muffins. So they're gonna go in the oven for 25 minutes. Given the past couple things I've baked, I'm gonna check them at 23 minutes just to make sure they're looking okay. But in the oven they go. Okay, so while the cakes are in the oven, I'm actually gonna make the confectioner sugar icing. So what I have is 1 cup of confectioner sugar, 1 tablespoon whole milk, 3/4 of a tablespoon instant coffee, and then we'll add some honey, about a teaspoon of that. I'm actually gonna check, now that I just said instant coffee, I wanna make sure it's not espresso. Okay, so we're gonna top it at the end with just a little bit of espresso, ground espresso, but what goes in it is the instant coffee. And so what I'm gonna do is add the instant coffee to the whole milk. That will cook the coffee, whisk that together. I'm also only making a half batch of the frosting, and that is because I didn't have enough confectioner sugar. There is a lot in the batter, in the batter itself, so I wasn't expecting I would need so much. So just keep that in mind if you're making it. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the coffee mixture in. And I'm supposed to be using corn syrup, but I of course forgot corn syrup, but that's okay, we're just gonna use honey instead. And this is a really thick icing, so I'll show you. See how thick it is? Okay. We'll add the honey and see if it helps at all. I'm gonna add just a touch of whole milk. I really hope this doesn't mess it up because I don't have any other options. So just a touch because it's so thick. Okay. Okay, so it definitely looks too thick to me, but I'm honestly just gonna wait until they come out of the oven and test it. Do you see how thick that is? I don't know. We'll have to wait, honestly. Okay, so my 23-minute timer just went off. I'm gonna take a peek because I'm getting nervous. They definitely look cooked to me. Let's see. Okay, so they're very brown, but I think it's because the batter was brown. I am gonna poke it with a fork. So let's see. Oh yeah. Wow. Yep. They're very done. So I'm gonna let them cool off for a few minutes and then I'm going to frost them. So I will see you in a bit. Okay, so they've cooled off a bit. They do look like little mini muffins, I guess mini cakes. I am gonna decorate just a few. I think the frosting at this point is too thick. It's really hard to spread. It's almost thicker than peanut butter at this point. So I'm gonna add a little more milk and just hope that that loosens it up a bit. I'm gonna heat up some of the milk just because I think it will help keep it looser. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of milk in at a time. Okay, that was more than a little, but that's okay. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm gonna I'll try this on just a few and we'll see how it goes. Okay, it is a bit too thin now, but that's fine. We all expected that to happen. Okay. So I am going to use the little bit of powdered sugar I have left over and I'm going to add it into the frosting. Okay, so that's a bit better honestly, with just a few extra spoonfuls. So let's try it again. Okay, so I'm making an absolute mess, but I just wanted you to see like how it just drips off the sides. But I am making a mess. So I would say use the frosting sparingly, just add a dollop on top of each, and then you can always go back and add more. Okay, but with that, I'm actually gonna add the walnuts onto some of them, just so we can make sure they stick. So taking some of the whole toasted walnuts that we toasted back at the beginning of the day at this point, and adding it right to the top. And because I was snacking on the walnuts that I had roasted, I ate too many of them, so some of these are just gonna be non-roasted walnuts, but that's fine. The roasted definitely look better. Okay, so now I'm gonna top it with some confectioner sugar, and I'm just gonna use a fork to sprinkle it over. Okay, now I'm gonna sprinkle espresso over it. I think they are finally done. Can you see? They are very, very cute, honestly, if I'm being honest. Okay, do you see how cute they are? They're dripping, but that's fine. Okay, I can't wait to bite into these. I think they're gonna be a great little dessert in the morning, given the fact there is a decent amount of coffee and espresso in each one, but I can't wait to try them. And if you guys try them out at home, let me know how it goes.